Hi everyone, how
Hi.
are you doing? My name's Chris. For anyone who doesn't know, I'll be hosting today's session. Rob is with us as well, our CEO. In classic video world, let's give it a minute or so, wait for people to join. I can see quite a lot of people already involved. What I have done, actually, a couple of people have already actually answered the poll. I've created a poll, so you've got something to do for 30 seconds rather than hear me rattle on. Essentially, we want to know a little bit more about what you're doing, as well as sharing what we think is happening in the sector at the moment. So if you can answer the following question, do you use AI in your role? I will actually there is a follow-up question as well, which I'll make live too, which is whether you use your AI usage, if you do use it, is business approved or part of an official business account. This is all just interesting stuff to know. And I think a lot of the context will come later on as well. We've only got so much time, so I will get things underway. So first of all, thank you everybody for your interest in coming along today. It's the second of the B2B stores, I guess EB2B webinars. We did a WhatsApp one towards the end of last year and thought it'd be a great opportunity to do something with AI as well. I think it's such a big, expansive subject that what we're trying to focus on this time is more about specifically what's available within the sector to use AI for, what it means for wholesale, because I think there's probably a lot of understanding or misunderstanding perhaps what it can do and the risks that it poses to people and businesses. So we want to go through a bit about that. We'll also have a Q&A at the end, which is when we'll kind of tag Robin. So if anyone would like to ask a question, anything come up along the way, please pop them into the chat. We'll ask them all at the end. And even if, so I think we've got a half an hour slot in for this, but we'll make sure those questions are answered. We can kind of use a bit of a longer tail and share information. There's a recording that will go out to everybody as well. So going into this then, so this is what we'll be learning about. I'll let you all kind of go with it. But the main thing really is tackling what AI means to wholesalers, suppliers, anybody attached to the sector. I think there's a lot of stuff that is very specific to wholesalers that we can share, but actually there's a lot that, depending on what your role is and what your business does, there's loads of things that you can be doing and should be doing at the moment. Obviously, what is AI? I mean, if anyone doesn't know, I haven't included the obvious point here. If anyone's not aware that AI stands for artificial intelligence by now, I think you're probably in the wrong webinar. Essentially, though, the big thing is that there are two versions of AI, really. One that a lot of people are more familiar with than others, which is the generative AI, which it learns and can create content, or it can answer questions. But that's one of these that everyone kind of uses, I guess, with like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Copilot. That's the sort of AI that most people are more familiar with, and it's kind of like what you put in is the sort of stuff that you get out. But the next level stuff, where I think there's real value in this sector, is with agentic AI. Generative AI is helpful and can reduce a lot of kind of productivity issues, help fill skills gaps. But actually, the agentic AI, automated stuff that will be able to answer, not just answer questions, but take actions on behalf on your behalf to complete a task, is huge, because that means there are things that, if you're a time poor business and you've got tasks that take up a lot of time, AI might well be the answer that provides you with a lot more resource. It's not just about that, though, that actually, if there's a skills gap, you can make sure you're filling that, and it can mean that your business or your team is actually achieving more than you were before. So what does everything that's going on with AI, what does that mean for wholesale? I mean, wholesale is traditionally a slow adopter of technology. But I think with AI, things are different because of the speed of adoption, the speed of development. It's really important not to kind of sit on it, because that AI journey and that understanding, if there's not that sort of knowledge within your business, it can take a while to build up. It's understandable. I think it's the same with everybody. And I think everybody on this call and even on our side have kind of been on their own journey with it, or are on their own journey with it. And your knowledge and understanding of how to get the best out of it differs. And that might mean that within your team, you have an expert, but then you have somebody who is reticent to use it. And I think that's something you need to try to get on top of. Obviously, wholesale does rely on a lot of manual processes, and there are certain things that humans need to rely for. And it's not a case of replacing job roles, but there are certain tasks that it will help with. So it will transform job roles. And there's plenty of ways that AI can do that. I guess the thing with AI, though, I mean, it's not just a technical thing. There is a cultural side to it as well. So it's understanding the benefits. So we talk about it can boost ROI, productivity, the service that you're providing without the need to hire specialists or increase overhead. So I think that's really important, because once you kind of buy into that and the benefits and away from some of the negative headlines, actually you can see the benefits are huge. And I think that cultural shift actually leads the way to that technical understanding, because once there's a willingness to understand and how to get the best out of it, there's a lot you can achieve. One of the big things that is worth flagging, though, is obviously delays. It can mean falling behind, but it's not just from a commercial point of view. There are vulnerabilities, and we will pick up on that as we go through it. I suppose one of the big things we want to cover within this webinar is the AI uses in wholesale. So it's understanding, and if there's a lot of talk and a lot of chatter within the sector about AI, but it's not always specific to what wholesale does and what the business does. And I think that's where we want to kind of be in that space to show you what is possible, what it can do, and why you should be doing more yourself. So the big things that we've kind of picked out, the uses in wholesale. So you can see the ones there, but I kind of pick into a few of them. And I think we already see quite a few wholesalers using some data stuff from an AI perspective. And there's been a few stories in the headlines, a few big wholesalers have kind of adopted that, but I think there are some smaller wholesalers doing it too. But the data analysis is really key. And this is where, again, I keep talking about skills gaps, where previously you might have needed like a data analyst. There's a possibility here that you'll be able to do something yourself with the right sort of prompt and sharing the right data. So it gives you something that's faster and sharper, and it uncovers patterns, generates insights, and that can be used in a variety of ways across a business. And this is why it can be suppliers or wholesalers. So there's forecasting, gap analysis, sales reporting, joint business planning, stock and inventory optimization. There's all sorts of things that can be used. Customer service is also a really key way to use it. Obviously, the really intricate, complex requests that you get, you can't replace the human knowledge currently, but there are things in terms of answering routine queries and routing the queries to the right teams and saving your customer time, but also saving you guys time on your business side is something that's really good. That can be done with voice or text over WhatsApp, email, or phone. And to just give you a quick clang of what we do, B2B Stores Pro Connect platform is probably a really good example of a wholesale specific customer service and actually speech conversational commerce that is there through text and voice that allows you to kind of get more information and provide service support. As well as customer service, I mean, marketing support is key. So, I mean, this is something you probably quite see a lot. I mean, as a creative myself, I can see the benefits of using AI to kind of make your productivity higher and take away tasks that may well have taken quite a while before, or where my skills weren't. So I for example, perhaps not the strongest designer, but it can provide assets to a certain level at present that it can help you out. Product descriptions as well, it can help you write product descriptions. Now, wholesalers have all sorts of those on their websites. Aside from that, I mean, smart ordering, this sort of AI has been around for a long time, but it's only getting smarter. So it's things like pre-populated shopping lists, personalized product suggestions. They've been around for a while, but two-way conversations at the point of purchase or lead to that conversion is a really good way to speed up ordering and build bigger baskets. Around it, you've kind of got admin support as well. A few people will probably be using this already, whether informally or formally within their business. So it's things like generating invoices, cleaning spreadsheets, drafting reports, summarizing long emails or documents, and focusing on high-value tasks and increase productivity as a result of that, because instead of kind of getting into the weeds of the spreadsheet or kind of drafting those early bits of the report, you're fine tuning it. And I think that's where this sort of union between human user and AI is really strong. If you need to work in tandem, you can't let AI do it all. It needs to have that human direction, but equally it can help you if you use it in the right way. And also compliance. I mean, this is a big thing again, to mention ProConnect that we've kind of looked at, and it's been able to quickly assess retail images which either been sent in by a retailer or kind of somebody out in the field or site visits, whatever. So, and the AI can check compliance and merchandising to reduce that manual work and provide kind of reports showing you where there may be issues and concerns. I mean, aside from all this, there are so many other ways that AI can be used in a wholesale business and linked to wholesale, that it's really worth exploring. I mean, a great example of doing this was we did a project with Ramsden International in October last year or November. And essentially, myself and Rob, we went to visit them at their office in Grimsby. And we spent time working with a departmental group, easy for me to say, working how to implement AI into their roles. And I think the beauty of it was, although there was like senior buy-in, this was including people of all different levels within the business, because that's where AI adoption is strongest. And that's where I think Ramsden's approach really stands out. We worked closely with them. They'd identified that they wanted to become more familiar with AI and had spoken to us about that. So the sessions included not just kind of talking about what AI tools are available. Obviously, that was a key part of it. But like I keep saying, it's applying it to their business, applying it to wholesale. So it's not just saying AI is a thing. It's saying, how can we use AI? Now, one of the best ways of doing that, and how this session worked really well, was actually focusing on finding the common frustrations that teams had. What sort of tasks take a long time? What are the skills gaps in the business? You know, resource isn't like complete, you know, it's not going to fill you with everything that you need, but are there areas where you think you would benefit from a certain skill that AI can help with? This is where kind of Rob excels, and we've got a whole team of AI experts in the technical side of it who are really good, that they kind of take those frustrations, take that feedback and work on tangible AI solutions. Now, that's something that worked really well in that session. There were then after that session, there were a few follow-up calls of how to work out how people were working together. And also the group came together to talk about their ideas. And I believe this is a really important part of that AI journey, that within a business, within different departments, having regular checkups, talking about the things that you've learned, what's worked, what's not worked, what sort of other things you'd like to try, is a really good example of doing of how this works and actually inspires people to find new ways. I think one thing, I mean, away from Ramsden, there was I spoke to someone at Wholesale recently, and they spoke about how they set a target. It's like a 90-day target that departmental leaders need to find a new use or try a new use of AI in their department. And I think that's a really good way of doing it, because it's a sort of on-the-job test and learn. And it's not overwhelming by looking at 10 different things at once. It's saying, for this 90 days, this is the one thing we're going to focus on. I mean, at Ramsden, some of the feedback was brilliant, and it was incredible actually finding people, the different levels, the scale of understanding was completely different. And I imagine that's the same people on this call now, but also people within your business, with your team. Some people were frightened about using AI and were unsure what they should be doing. Other people had kind of used it themselves. And I think there were certain that some of the feedback, this is the way it's always been, was one of the real kind of standout lines, because this was someone they'd been in the job for a number of years, and they said, well, this is kind of how this has always been. It's, you know, it's labor intensive. We have to do a lot of work in spreadsheets. But within an hour, they saw how they could do that and free up the time to do so much more work as well, which was really positive. Now, obviously, we've spoken about the positive side of it, and I spoke at the start of the call. People are quite used to this idea that, it's particularly in wholesale, sometimes it's kind of like a sitting and waiting and let's see what's going to happen. It's a common policy because it's a safe policy. And then once you've seen that other businesses have done something, you can see what's worked for them and choose to do it yourself. But that, it's understandable when everything is so relentlessly busy all the time, but AI isn't like that other tech. And actually, there are certain risks around it as well. That, yes, commercially, you might be left behind. You need to pay like catch up, and then it takes longer to do that. And, that cultural shift within your business. But actually, there are certain problems in there in terms of the risks that it opens you up to. I mean, one of the questions we've asked in the poll was around, do you use AI in your role? And then we've asked whether it's business usage. Now, the big thing here is that just because the business doesn't approve AI usage, I suspect there are a lot of employees who are in businesses that don't have official AI policies that are using it informally. So that can lead to sharing sensitive data or information on free versions of whether it's like ChatGPT or Gemini without actually realizing. And that's kind of a bit business failing in a way, to communicate that and making sure that people are aware of what they need to be doing to make sure that they're safe. I guess the most important thing here, or the most costly thing in the short term, is that it can lead to expensive GDPR breaches. But there are also things. I mean, if you share sensitive company data, it is possible, if you put it through a free LLM like ChatGPT, that somebody, one of the rival businesses, could make a search themselves, quite conceivably, that's similar to what a colleague of yours has done. And then that your answers are then actually part of what's informing the answer that's back to them. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, and we've spoken in the email when we invited you. We said we'd share like a how to be AI ready. But one of the key things, probably the most key thing in all of this, is making sure that your business's IT usage policy is up to speed. So legacy IT policies don't cover AI because it wasn't a thing. And there's a lot of new issues that it's not just using the tech that it raises. So companies need to look at that as a first port of call. Now, within that, we've got a 6-point list, I suppose, checklist of how to be AI ready. Obviously, as I mentioned there, updating IT policies and procedures to include AI is absolutely crucial. And there are other things as well. I mean, it's something that we've looked into, and we're kind of along the road of hoping to getting over the line soon, is the ISO 42001, which obviously, I mean, a lot of people who work in businesses who handle a lot of data will be familiar with the ISOs already and the data security. Now, the 42001 is specific to AI usage, and the fact that there is a new separate policy for it kind of backs up what we're saying about making sure your IT policy is right. Now, that's quite a big thing, and sometimes you might need to find a partner for that. We've also partnered with someone to work with us through those compliance accreditations as well. So that's a really important part. I mean, we'd be happy to handhold anybody around that. I mean, before you kind of get to that, a really quick win, potentially, depending if you can get it through the IT department, is creating a secure private AI company account. Now, that looks like, so I mean, everyone can use ChatGPT, but if you went and logged on and just had a free account, then that is open to everyone. The private AI company accounts are safe area. They're guardrailed. It makes sure that nothing goes out. Anything you can share is with good confidence. Now, there's also things we can share within teams, and that can help, again, inform more people within your department, which is really useful too. I think we've mentioned there looking at what Ramsden did, but I think if you are looking to use AI in your business and make sure you're starting to see some more tangible returns from it, rather than just kind of casually asking it a question, reviewing the existing pain points is the best way to start. Then look at how AI can be used to support that, because it's a specific usage. It's not saying, look at what all this can be doing. It's actually honing in on what's going on in your business and finding those areas. Because I think a lot of time there's also a lot of talk in the media about, at the moment, AI needs to find that ROI. Now, that's because it's not having that pinpoint usage. Again, I mean, without kind of want to push it too much, I mean, this is where ProConnect and what B2B Store is really strong at, because we understand, we worked in wholesale for 15 years as a business, and that means we have I suppose, an in-depth understanding of what it is that wholesalers and suppliers are trying to achieve and the issues that they're facing. So it means that the technology we're producing is aimed at at you, and it's making sure it's going to help you rather than just kind of a general thing and you're going to need to adapt to it. It adapts to you instead. Once you've done that, and it's important, this cultural shift, I keep on mentioning that, really, really important, because if you can share AI learnings and educate employees, that's the way that it's going to normalize this use of new technology. It's not a threat, it's something that's going to help you. And I think that's only going to be done by people being open about it and saying, actually, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried this, it really did. Look at what it's taken out of my job and look at what I can do on the other side. It's being confident enough to be like, we've all got busy roles, but it's saying that AI has helped you in this place, and now you're being able to do more of this over here that you weren't able to do. Again, big thing as well. I mean, anything with AI, I mean, data helps it. It reads data, it spots patterns. So if you can get your data in order, that's a really key thing too. It can work with quite messy data sets, but I would say do your best to try and make it as clean as possible. Lastly, try as best you can. I know it's all very busy, but make sure you keep up with the latest AI progress, because there's so many different developments. And that can mean there's different tools to do different things. There's different ways to work on stuff. So again, I mean, I would say that working with a partner who helps you with this is really important, because they can kind of give you that summary. You can have catch-ups with them. They can share that stuff with you. Again, I mean, I mentioned ProConnect, but ProConnect has a number of different things within it, and it has like its own little pro agent AI. Now, we're not talking about we wouldn't talk necessarily about which specific software that is using, because we're refining that depending on what the best is all the time. So our developers have got their fingers on the pulse. So if something new comes out, they kind of know about it within hours. So it means that we can make sure that everything that is right, the best thing for the wholesale use case, is within ProConnect. And again, equally, it's a safe space to share. I'll be honest with you, I feel like I've spoken an awful lot, and it's difficult because there is nobody else to talk, but I am going to tag Robin now. I know I've spoken a lot here, but I'd love to get any more questions coming in. We'll put them to Rob. He's the real kind of in-depth expert, the advanced AI stuff. So I'll pass on to him, and if you can put the stuff into the chat, that'd be great. I will ask first of all, question from Jamil. He says, data analysis, stock inventory, ordering, admin, etc., do require integration into wholesale back-end systems. So Rob, is there a software or application that allows businesses to do that? I think I know where this answer might go.
Well, yeah, absolutely. This is the whole, the main point here with AI is only as useful as the data it has access to. And you know the answer that I'm going to give. Obviously, the ProConnect platform that we have does integrate to a whole bunch of systems, whether it's back-end inventory, product management. If the platform that you're working with isn't plugged into or integrated to relevant systems, then it's not much use.
Excellent. Andy's also asked a question. He says there are many, however, requires specific. Oh, also asked about integration. Fine, I could have read that before. So Rob, I mean, look, if nobody else has got any other questions they want to ask about it, Rob, can you talk a little bit more about that Ramsden day? I mean, you obviously are working closely with the team. So how beneficial do you see activities like that, where it is somebody coming in and really honing in on the wholesalers' problems within their business?
I think the thing that struck me was how little adoption there was, but there was a real appetite to learn. And I think everyone in the session was literally half my age. So I did expect them to be a lot more, initially, maybe have more of an understanding as to how to deploy AI in a work context, but it was predominantly being used in their personal lives. So yeah, again, there was... Very quickly, we unearthed quite a lot of low-hanging fruit. Again, that was a big takeout. We built out several proof of concepts throughout the course of just one day. And when we honed in on some use cases, whether it was how we could use image recognition in AI, how we could update spreadsheets that they were doing manually, there was 4, 5, 6 different solutions that we came up with. I think one of the things with AI as well is it's actually quite easy to identify quick wins, but often it's that building that into the formal workflow of an enterprise or a business is actually sometimes the hardest bit. The proof of concept, proving the idea of the concept works is quite easy, and so that's quite positive. That is low hanging fruit for business, but actually deploying it into workflows is not to be underestimated.
So Megan has asked, what wholesale problems is AI genuinely good at solving right now?
Well, I think you've touched on there's the basic stuff we're used to. Product, we're clearly focused on customer engagement, but product recommendations, search, etc., is all standard stuff that we've been seeing. I think now we're starting from an e-commerce perspective, seeing multi-channel ordering. So customers aren't just constrained by ordering through single platforms. They can now order through voice, they can order through email, they can order through SMS, WhatsApp, and the AI will convert into the relevant format. And what we're leading on, we'll be launching shortly, is actually two-way conversational ordering as well. So multi-channel, multi-format, multilingual customer engagement. So, but this is the thing with AI that separates it from pretty much any technology I've ever seen. Is it's all encompassing. It's going to affect all, predominantly, or the vast majority of functions in any given business.
So similar-ish question, but David Gilroy is asking around real-world examples of where AI has made a difference. So I suppose there are certain things we see already. A lot of wholesalers out there using data providers. But what are you seeing? So obviously, B2B Store has worked closely with some wholesalers already and suppliers.
Again, there's just so many examples. I just coincidentally was talking to one wholesaler this morning who's using our platform, and it's the business analysis and insight who's able to extract. I think he mentioned he was talking to a big ERP provider that he uses and asking them about AI and how can I use AI to get insight out of my ERP, and then really hadn't appreciated that you could go straight onto a platform such as ours, which, if it has access to that backend data, just created incredible insight. The examples were things like, you can talk to it in plain English in whatever language you want. Just tell me about my customer behavior. Are there any trends that I need to know about? And it will come back and say, you've got these big customers over here and they've just stopped spending. Maybe you should go and talk to them. It could be sales data, trending data on category level, product level, inquiring about year-on-year analysis. And then you can bring that data to life. It doesn't have to be as dry as raw data. You can just say to the platform, create me a really compelling image to bring this data to life. You can share with colleagues. You can use it to help plan marketing activity based on who you're trying to talk to. There's a whole multitude of practical things that is accessible today.
Excellent. Well, I mean, David Gilroy actually has a brilliant question here, saying about biggest wins. In fact, let's go before I get onto that, because I was going to finish off with it. Mike Quinn's asked about, can you do credit control? Is that something that is involved? I mean, it's quite a specific question for ProConnect, I suppose.
Well, you can, yeah. Again, it's something that is coming out shortly, where customers will be able to send in an inquiry via email or via SMS, via WhatsApp, via voice, and literally just talk to the customer, to the wholesaler's ERP, and ask them in English or whatever language they choose. I think we support 100 languages. Tell me about my account, and it will be a two-way experience. I think that's a big shift that's coming now, where you can talk to the AI, it will respond back in any language. As long as it's got access to the ERP, to the customer data, it will be able to send you pre-configured payment links against invoices, pay off balances, even manage invoice reconciliation, and do proactive outreach as well. Obviously, we'd expect the customer would need to give consent to have AI contact it, but we're used to having automated messages come if maybe invoices are owed. So yes, we can do that.
I mean, I think what I would say, so talking from like Rob's answers, but also kind of what we've gone through, I hope it gives an idea of actually AI can touch all different parts of a business. And it's kind of right from that start, sort of like customer outreach, right through to paying for the order after it's been placed. So there's so many different ways that can be used, internally and externally. I mean, I was going to go back, so I said I was going to finish on David's question, was about the biggest wins. Now, I think the key thing for a lot of early adopters, and the idea is this was quite an introduction to AI and wholesale, it's using that kind of AI checklist that we shared before. So I have made that available so people can download that. If they go into the chat, there's a little bit called handouts. I assume you can see what I can see. So I see if some people have already downloaded it, you can do that. We'll also send it out to all registrants. We'll make sure that it's available through our own WhatsApp channel, which we will also send if people haven't signed up to or received an invite for. We will make sure that that comes your way as well. So it's worth kind of having that because they're the biggest wins. And then it's kind of finding something that's specialist to you. There has been one last question come through, which Rob, I will ask you before we go, which is which ERPs have you integrated AI with so far?
Well, there's a whole range. There's there's the big names. There's the local providers out there, the big national providers, and then there's the usual suspects, the Sages of the world. It's not integrate again. This is another real benefit to AI, this whole notion of integration, which historically has been quite inexpensive and depending on the ERP quite potentially sometimes challenging. AI is able now to convert files and do that piece in ways. So we as a company, as a software company, are not phased by integrating with any ERP at all. And as I said, it's an essential ingredient to any AI offering any value. And in the context of wholesaling in particular, the client data sits on ERP, the pricing, the promotions, the customer history, etc. So your use of AI, if you're not able to integrate to an ERP, is going to be highly limited.
And I mean, one thing I will actually ask for myself, because I think it is, you touched on it a little bit there. I think it'd be good to kind of talk about how AI has an impact in B2B store as well, because I think that while we're not a wholesale business, we're working with wholesalers. It is meaning that AI is meaning that we can support businesses in this channel a lot quicker and a lot better, can't we, Rob?
Product.
You're frozen a little bit. That's not AI. That's normal technology. Did you
Was that from a consultancy perspective, Chris, or did you mean from a product perspective?
I guess, well, a bit of both, really. I mean, I suppose that we've helped with it from a consultancy side, but it's actually mean that we're developing tools quicker as well, right?
Yeah. Just from a software perspective, we are moving into a whole new generation. We've got our lead developer is essentially leading an army of coding agents, and in certain instances now we're developing software up to over 100 times quicker than ever. I mean, literally one person can be creating 200,000 lines of code a week, which is insane compared to where we were a year ago. But this is very much the future. And it means just from our perspective, we're just going at that speed. We need to make sure we're absolutely on point and we're listening to customers as to what they want. Because even if you're just a few degrees off track going at that speed, you're off course pretty quickly. Software, I think everybody is going to be benefiting from more and more software going forward.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you, Rob, and thank you everybody for your time kind of attending. If there are any questions that you have post-event that you kind of suddenly cross your mind, please get in touch. As I say, the handout is available for you to kind of look at that AI checklist. We will share that out with all registrants too. And it'd be brilliant to hear from you as well. I mean, it's been really good. I really enjoyed going along and seeing how AI can benefit businesses. And I think there's a lot of value we and probably other providers can provide. But I would say that our wholesale knowledge has kind of helped us with that. And it's where you can kind of see a tangible difference in terms of how you're kind of raising the standards around the industry. So thank you very much. And we'll aim to do more in the future, to more webinars, perhaps with a bit more detail too. Kind of wanted this to be an introduction, but we probably go into something and kind of perhaps lean into one particular area and show what AI can do. So that's something that will probably come in the future, but please do stay in touch. Please tell us if you have any ideas, any questions. Nice one. Thank you very much.